A very good afternoon to all present. I hope I am audible to you.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. And a very warm welcome. Today, I, Anju Talwar, resource person from AIEF, I'm going to present some techniques on reading skill. And before I start, I would express my gratitude to the association to give me a chance to go ahead with my second webinar. And with the overwhelming response that I got for the first, I really want to thank the people who attended and motivated me. So kindly say a few words so that I can get the required boost.
Thank you, ma'am. And we are always privileged to have educators volunteering, the precious weekends. This you could have kept for yourself, but you preferred sharing your knowledge with others. And that's what makes this platform so unique, that so many educators on a daily basis are coming forward to organize sessions for their fellow teachers. And so many of them are also attending, leaving their household chores, their family time, and the school work to learn more. So it's a learning experience, and I'm glad that we have created this platform. And I'm also glad that people like Anju ma'am are coming forward and making use of this platform to give out their knowledge, to share their knowledge. And I want to sincerely thank all the participants who have joined today also in large numbers. We are having about 80 participants. I'm sure as time passes, it's going to get full. So thank you once again, and Anju ma'am, best wishes. And I'm sure like your first one, this is also going to be equally interesting and knowledgeable and resourceful for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I think I should start now because already 84 participants are there. Thank you,
yes.
sir. So I am going to share my screen. I will request, in case anyone has any query, you kindly keep that, because once the topic is over, I will be taking queries, and whatever I can help, I'll definitely do. Thank you so much. Yeah, today our topic, is I have chosen reading skills. English in India might no longer be the only language of opportunity. Its use may have become optional in colleges, universities, courts, UPSC exams, state service exam, etc., and in schools also as a repercussion of NEP. But it has assumed a very important role as a library language and window to world. The latest inventions, discoveries, and research in different fields are encoded in English language only. Though education in India, including tertiary education, is being predominantly imparted through regional medium, learners find it necessary and useful to consult reference books, journals, and encyclopedias, which are in English. For this, they need to have good reading skills and should have appropriate skill for the purpose. So I think as teachers of English, we should first of all be convinced of the importance of a language, and then we should convince our students of it. Only then can we expect to get good cooperation from our students. Well, like every mechanism or system needs inputs to start, without which we cannot imagine working of a system. A business needs an investment, machine needs energy, be it muscular or chemical, and even our relations need love and patience. Similarly, learning a language needs input of vocabulary, correct grammar, appropriate expression, correct meaning in context, and all these inputs can be attained with two activities, listening and reading. And today, our focus is on reading. Well, Reading, very important activity. It enhances our life in several ways. Well, it exercises our mind. It's the greatest advantage of reading. It is as it engages various parts of our brain. When we read, we actually exercise our comprehension abilities and our analytical abilities. It fires up our imagination and stimulates the memory centers of our mind. It helps us recall information as well as stabilize our emotions. The importance of a reading habit is such that it strengthens mental muscles and perhaps the best mental workout there is. It keeps our mind agile and strong. Now, the role of reading skills and communication is very, very important, because if we want to nurture our communication skill, it's very important to work on the reading skills, because it is a core skill of language learning and it feeds all other skills like reading, like speaking and writing. It improves our writing style and flow. And writers learn to perfect their craft by taking inspiration from other writers. It is impossible to be a good writer if a person does not read. Well, it helps also in developing the oratory skills. Reading teaches us new words and perspectives, and it helps strengthen language and sharpens sentence structure. A person who reads automatically gets the appropriate kind of vocabulary at appropriate time, and one doesn't have to cram anything. Well, it also helps to find ourselves. Books actually work as portal to new worlds. They have the potential to broaden our perspectives, shapes our attitude towards others and life, and opens us up in new ways of thinking in everyday life. Well, it makes us becoming a well-read individual, and normally people see such people in awe. The words well-read are often used to denote a learned individual full of wisdom. It also helps us to maintain our calm and to keep us entertained. Books are actually perfect escape from reality. They cheer us up when we are down and motivates us when we are sad, and even keep us company when everybody else is busy. Well, the major advantages of reading, besides what I have already stated, it improves our thinking and analytical skills. It helps us to block the noise out. Again, it helps us to master the language, connecting with people, and they keep us grounded. Grounded means we know that actually we are still in progress. We are still a work in progress. So that keeps us grounded. And the readers, they become friendlier and more acceptable among people. Besides all these wonderful uses, still we find that the students are not actually interested in reading. It is found that the students, they lack interest in reading. One of the prime reason for this, that network has opened to people a wide horizon and given them multiple tools, easy to get the information they want, and as soon as possible, with least effort, which led to the change in pattern of reading. Now the students no longer go to the library to get the information they want. They can get it sitting in place without making much effort. And this has made them complacent. Besides this, another reason is preoccupation of people. In modern times that we live in, there is lack of leisure available to people. And as a result, yes, ma'am, Ravinder ma'am, you wants to say something? Ravinder ma'am has raised hand. Well, in modern times we live in, there is a lack of leisure time available with people. We get busy in our work early and work till late in order to tide over difficult contemporary situations and challenges of life. Thus, reading became secondary and perhaps marginal because of these changes in lifestyle. Lack of intellectual creativity is also noticed when certain groups don't allow creativity at intellectual levels, and use of books or library remains limited to small number of approved literature only. Well, education policies like NEP also has focused on the I'm not talking about NEP only, actually. Some NEP has limited the spread of English to a level, but other education policies are there where focus is on vernacular language and which reduces the requirement of proficiency in English at an early stage, especially. And then modern media tools like TV, including thousands of channels, internet apps, innumerable videos, useful and non-useful, fill the vacuum for people and distract them from reading. Well, this diagram tells you very clearly the reasons for lack of reading, lack of interest of reading among children. There may be reasons like family, school, children themselves, some problems with them, and social environment. In family, it is possible that the family is not actually equipped enough or financially sound enough to provide the reading material. But then it is possible that they are too busy and too ambitious to have quality time with the children or to fulfill their needs. Then schools also, some schools also don't have provision of sufficient books where the children can access the books and they go ahead with the required kind of material to read. Then there are problems with children, mental problems with the children like attention deficit disorder, or maybe the language inefficient language adaptability problem that makes them demotivated. But then there are social environment issues as well, where too much involvement or too much exposure in the to the clubs, toys and games, or maybe TV, computers, smartphones, and other audiovisual influences may lead to the lack of interest for reading. Actually, reading in itself is a kind of coding, something that the message that has been encoded by the writer, and those messages being decoded by the reader. The reader always has a perception, own perception, that every reader can explore the writer's code in his own way. So reader's perception is also very, very important. Now, before we go ahead to work towards before we go ahead to know how to enhance reading, it is very, very important to know why we are reading. Reading purpose is very important. If we know why we are reading, we will be more specified with the technique of reading. Now, reading may be done for pleasure and enjoyment. This is the best reason to read, and a proper material is chosen for that, and reading entertains and relaxes us. Well, it may be, and normally the people who read for pleasure, they don't need any specific kind of exercise for that. But then practical application is there. Here we read to gain information, and we need to apply it for the practical situation. Books such as laboratory manuals, computer manuals, instruction booklets, and recipe booklets, all such texts we consult with the purpose of gaining specific information. Now, then, next is to get an overview. The point here is to get a general feel for the material to determine whether it is relevant, useful, up to date, to get the sense of how the topic is treated by the author. Another point is to locate a specific information. Here it is that sometimes we know that we are looking for, but don't know exactly where to find it. For example, we are looking for specific quotation, evidence to support a particular argument, details about the specific person or event, a map, a diagram, or a table of statistics. To find this sort of information might mean that we have to consult several books or sources. And these information in these circumstances, you will be reading with aim of zeroing in on the information you are looking for. And then the reading may be to identify a central idea of theme. The purpose here is to extract the essence of what the written material is trying to convey. For example, we might want to identify the major finding of an experimental article or a journal, or the core issue of discussion paper. Then to develop a detailed and critical understanding. Of many occasions, you will need to master fully the material in a book, journal, article, or manual, so that you can evaluate its arguments, perspectives, and evidence. This will require to read the material thoroughly, make effective and relevant notes, keep an open mind for being aware of our own ideas and opinion regarding the issues involved. So depending upon the requirement, different types of reading methodologies are there. For example, if you wish to read for pleasure, you can use extensive reading skill. There is no expectation from the reader here, and we can understand the meaning of word through context. For example, after reading the sentence, "Tread softly because you tread on my dreams," you would be able to make out that meaning of tread has something to do with walking. Well, among the various reading skills, intensive reading is used most often. Here we pay complete attention to every word and understand it fully. This method would take us much longer to read, but the comprehension of the text would be much higher. Well, another skill is when we want to go over the information quickly, we will use skimming. For example, going through a book before purchasing it, sometimes when we read, we only look for a specific portion. This is called scanning. Like when we we want to get information quickly, we use skimming. And when we sometimes we read only the book for a specific portion, so that is scanning. So it is important that an appropriate way to read should be chosen to get the maximum benefit. For example, if you should not skim through something that you need to prepare a report on. Similarly, we may not want to apply an extensive reading skill for topic that we don't find interesting. Well, another problem then that we face is the anxiety among learners. Our learners can run into all sorts of anxieties and difficulties when trying to learn on their own. And those are, well, they say, I'm slow in reading books in English. I take notes from lectures and discussions, important texts, but what is the best method? Then they might feel nervous participating in the classroom discussions. How do I assess my own progress in writing? How can I prepare for a test and examination? And besides, one more challenging problem is lack of vocabulary, which dissuades the learner from reading. He becomes bored because he needs to pick up dictionary every now and then. Only a very motivated student will do that. So the problem is how to make them interested in reading. Well, I'm going to present one passage here. I would like the learned people to go through the passage quickly. I'll wait for a minute. It's a small passage, I know. Teachers are well versed, they quickly can read it. If you want me, I can read it aloud as well. 4 major processes cover the activities of people in any economic system: the primary raw material industries, manufacturing, distribution, and service industry. First, there is the process that provides the raw materials needed in a modern economy: the minerals and fuels, the grains and other vegetables and animal food products, wool, cotton, flax and other fibers, lumber, stone, sand and clay, leather, hides and skin, and like commodities. This is a work of enterprise engaged in agriculture, mining, lumbering, hunting, and fishing, often called the extractive or primary industry. This passage, I think, may be above the understanding of an average or below average student. But if we make the student understand that getting the answers to the given questions may not require dictionary to be picked up. Like, we can frame questions as given on the right side in the pink box. These questions require an affirmative or negative answer. Is a fiber a kind of a raw material? Is silk is a kind of fiber? Such. This is for students who are not well versed with the vocabulary, who are afraid of perhaps understanding each and every detail in the comprehension passage. So you might have observed that instead of asking the students to find meaning of particular word, which is obviously difficult for them, the exercise focused on giving them practice in deciding whether or not to use a dictionary while reading a text for particular purpose. So first and foremost thing is to remove the fear of accessing this dictionary every now and then, because if they don't start reading, they don't understand, and if they don't understand, they will never start reading. So it's an icebreaker for them to do such kind of activity. Then the previous activity that I did was just, I will go back to that slide. The format of this activity has been specially chosen for 2 reasons, following these reasons I'm stating. That is to make the reading purposeful, to highlight the issue of relevance, and to allow for individual variation in language proficiency, because all the students may not be in a position to find meaning of all the sentences. So they should therefore emerge from this lesson with the knowledge not of what word she needs or he needs to look up, but of what issues she or he needs to bear in mind in deciding whether or not he or she should look up a word in a dictionary. Right? They should always think whether the meaning of unknown word relevant to my needs. Because if they get this feel, they will be able to read it just for the purpose of finding the answer of the given question. If the meaning is relevant, is it necessary, or can I get the same information from other words in the text? Because this is what we want them to understand, that they can actually find the meaning from the context. Then, is a broad meaning enough, or do I need precise meaning of the word? That is, how much guessing can I get away with? So he learns to find the meaning in the context. How can I arrive at the meaning of the word without having to look up into the dictionary? So here the learner is treated as a thinking being and is put firmly at the center of the learning process by stressing that learning will only take place when matter is to be learned in a meaningful way. Now, next technique is SQ3R. Well, any reading strategy that we recommend to the learners should be flexible in tackling any text. A large number of manuals, pamphlets, study aids, and books have been written for students interested in improving their study skills. And here, SQ3R techniques actually stand for survey, question, read, recall, and review. So, well, let us deal with survey first. So a quick glance through title page, preface, chapter heading, give the idea of the general subject area and level of focus beside informing about the name of the author, place, and date of publication. The table of content or preface give an idea of themes dealt in text and how are they organized. Such small activities can be conducted. The students may be given a title page or may be given a book and may be asked to find out what they can just looking at the title page. Well, what kind of questions come to their mind? On reading the title of the book, Teaching Reading Skill in a Foreign Language by Henneman, list 3 questions that come to your mind. Well, I have listed these 3 questions because this is the question that come to my mind. Well, will this book be helpful in developing reading skill of my students? Will it get an idea of variety of reading tasks? Will it provide guidelines regarding developing one's speed in reading? These are general questions, but when you turn to particular chapters or the sections of a book, you may have more specific questions in your mind. Sometimes your question may coincide with the questions raised by author. Our students actually often ignore the author's question, but if we train them to consider these questions seriously, they can be used as helpful guidelines in their study. They can add their own questions and find out whether the book provides answer to these questions or not. After surveying and questioning, the next step is to read the text. Well, we need to advocate a critical approach in reading a text. Unless we read with a critical frame of mind, the question we formulate can never be answered satisfactorily. So we should encourage our students to read the text over and over again, each time for a different purpose. It is not advisable to make notes along with the first reading. Never. First time reading should be focused, analytical, critical. We may have the tendency to take down authors' ideas and opinion, not comparing them with our own. If we have the habit of underlining keywords while reading, we should do so only while reading the text a second time, because we can concentrate on those parts which are relevant and critical for our purpose. These steps are very important. The next step comes to recall. The skill of connecting what they read to their previous knowledge. We need to recall what we read from time to time. We need to develop our learners the skill of connecting what they read in their previous knowledge, and now also of relating the text to their future lessons. While interpreting a text, drawing inferences and learning to read between the lines to extract implied meaning, the learners will benefit if they share their experiences in reading with each other. If they recall what they have read in class discussions, it will provide a chance to remedy misinterpretations, if any. It will also give them an opportunity for reactive reading, for raising problems, and for concentrating in a better manner. It is worth mentioning here that there may be overlaps in all these stages. That is, we may question even while we read or recall. So recalling is a very, very important activity while we read. Next step is reviewing. It's a critically examining a book against the backdrop of current thoughts and ideas. The purpose of reviewing is the final stage of reading. It is to check the validity of all the steps, whether we have made proper survey, asked the right questions, read critically, and recalled the most relevant issues. Therefore, at review stage, we need to repeat the last 4 steps: survey, question, read, and recall. So it sharpens the faculty of critical reading. Now here I'm giving you some sample activities which can be where we can use various skills, various other style of reading that can be used. Here, this is a news item. A Korean Airbus with 199 passenger crashed 4.8 kilometers away from Tripoli airport in Libya today and burst into flames, killing at least 100 people. The official Libyan news agency, Jana, said that plane fell on 2 houses, killing 4 persons. In one of them, Jana reported that 80 to 100 people, including the captain, survived the crash near Tripoli. The crash occurred at 7 a.m. local time, 25 minutes before the expected time of landing. And the student to select appropriate heading for the news item from the choices given below. This particular activity requires skimming only, where they have to go through it and select the right kind of heading, sorry. A quick skimming through the news will help them get this. Well, another activity for skimming is The students are skimming through an article in which most of the words are unknown beyond their understanding. However, the ones listed below are known to them. Second class, passenger, difficult, push, book, no room, crowd, ticket, train. Well, they can easily guess these few words that what is that article about. And they are supposed to find a title for it. So they will be, they can easily find out what the passage is telling about. So thus students should be given practice of using skimming to get the context of what they are doing. Gradually, their fear for reading will diminish. Here is another activity. Small passage is given and the students are supposed to see the passage and they are supposed to get the meaning of deluge from the
Sorry.
Sorry for the hindrance. Yes. I hope I'm audible. Well, reading through the passage, a student can easily get closure to the meaning of deluge, which is otherwise perhaps they look for here and there and they don't. Their focus should be to get the closest meaning of the word. So we should, rather than raising our bar, we should rather lower down the bar in the beginning so that they are comfortable in crossing it. Slowly that bar may be raised. Another aid to enhance reading is jigsaw puzzle. This is a very interesting activity. Here I would, if you can see the picture given on the side of the slide, here we have different color of expert groups and there is a home group. I'll now explain. You just focus on 4 different colors of expert groups, group 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and then there is a home group. So jigsaw reading is an organization technique that breaks up longer text into smaller chunks of text, 1 or 2 paragraphs, that students work together in groups to become expert on. Means they are given part of the paragraphs and they are supposed to be expert on them. This is given to the groups. Each students then move into the new group. You can see from the picture how. In which each member has become an expert on different part of the text. The students then take turns teaching their new group about their portion of text. This technique emphasizes cooperative learning by giving students the opportunity to help each other build comprehension. Well, so here an appropriate reading text should be divided into 3 to 4 sections. Copies of comprehension questions for the text with different sections clearly marked. These are the 2 types of material required. And the procedure how, tell the students that the topic that they will be reading about and encourage them to make predictions about what they will read. Pre-teach critical vocabulary that the students will need before they begin to read the text. Divide the students into different groups, 1 for each section of the text. Explain that each group will be responsible for reading 1 section of the text and answering the reading comprehension questions that pertain to their assigned section only. Then give students time to work in their groups, to read and discuss their section of the text, and answer the reading comprehension questions. When all of the groups have completed the question, divide the class into new groups. Give the students time to work in their groups, to read and discuss their section of text and answer the reading comprehension questions. When all of the groups have completed the questions, divide the class into new groups. There is one student from each of the original groups in the newly formed groups, and each group represents entire version of the reading text. The groups are to be divided in such a way that the student having one knowledge of one part of the comprehension should be in all the groups. So thus the comprehension passage is completed. Each member of the group shares the answers to the section of comprehension questions that their original group was responsible for. So students should not read the text out loud. Instead, they discuss the questions and answers. At the end of the activity, all of the students will have learned the answers to all of the comprehension passages from the other students in the group. Thus, peer learning normally helps the students to learn at a faster pace. Well, another technique is summarizing. Well, summarizing teaches students how to discern the most important ideas in a text, or how to ignore irrelevant information, how to integrate the central ideas in a meaningful way. Teaching students to summarize improves their memory for what is read. Summarization strategies can be used in almost every content area, and when you teach the students to summarize, this is going to help them command on other subjects as well. Then story sequence. Another technique, sequencing contributes to students' ability to comprehend what they had read, to identify the components of a story, the beginning, middle, and end, to retell the events within a given text in order in which they occurred. The ability to sequence events in a text is a key comprehension strategy, especially for narrative text. Sequencing is also an important component of problem solving across the subjects. So, the more we read, the more things you know, and more that you learn, the more places you will go. I agree to this saying of Dr. Sessis. Well, now I'll really request teachers, in case they want to discuss or want to ask any question, because according to me, we all should now try and read as much as we can. Ranjini ma'am has asked a question that how can the fear of reading big books go? I think big books should be read in fragments. Like, there is no need to read the big books at a stretch. I would suggest keep such books on your bed post and read it. Read one chapter at a time. That is going to help.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, for children, I have one query.
Yes.
Like, they nowadays, past 2 years, they are not reading as they used to read. Like, whatever the schoolwork is completed, then and there they used to read regularly.
Yes, ma'am. This is a bigger
Back
problem.
home.
Yes, yes, very much.
Now they are not doing that because they
Right.
have the content lying in their mobile or like whichever gadget they have.
Exactly.
Now my query is like how to bring back that pace back into life. Like, how can we introduce, like,
Ma'am, since this is a problem we all are facing, I would suggest that we should actually create certain activities where they are forced to read that portion which we want them to read. Some kind of, maybe they may be given some kind of incentive of recognition in the class, or incentive of additional marks in the internal assessments. This way we can motivate them to work on. We can create certain Google forms as well, wherein they have to answer from that particular part which we want them to read. But the questions have to be a little more motivating kind of, where they have to go to that text and read. We have
Thank
to
you,
be,
ma'am. I got the point.
we have to be a little more creative in that.
As a parent, I have a query. Like,
Yes.
we expect a child actually attains an age wherein he can do his self-study. He or
Yeah.
she can do the self-study. But due to this unorganized pattern of like what they are following for the past 2 years, like some children do their self-study on their own. Some of them have got distracted with gadgets and so many things. So my query is like how to like we do give activities, but for a child, how will we make it interesting to come back to that life where the child was doing it previously?
Ma'am, the children are very much closely associated. Since you have asked this as a parent, so I am going to ask what a parent can do. No doubt, as a teacher, we have a number of things.
आने वाला चेंज बड़े वाला कर दिया ले जाओ
Well, sorry, ma'am. As a parent, I think we should involve the children with day-to-day things, and as a teacher, since we are teachers as well, we can introduce those facts, those things there in the daily routine, and which they have read the previous day. Maybe it has to be a deliberate effort. Now, depending upon the age of the student, I do understand when they enter their teenage, they are bound to, sulk a little. They are bound to ignore the studies a little. But in the formative years, especially in 4th and 5th and 6th, when they should take control of their own studies, the only thing here is we have to question their intelligence. So whatever they have studied, they are forced to go back to that and find answers to what we are challenging them to. Once they are nowadays, since they are more inclined to the social media and they are more interested in various kind of videos, so I would really add here, I have challenged my children on those videos itself. So whenever I find a video or a kind of sharing on my WhatsApp where they need to think and they need to respond, I share it with them. I have seen that this kind of challenges their mindset and they are bound to respond. I understand this is not the appropriate way. This is in a way we are pushing them again to the social media, but the present scenario has changed. So we have to change ourselves a little. If that is the place where the focus is, we have to draw their focus from there itself. We have to give them certain values, and if they are getting their values from the social media, we'll have to find the appropriate video from the social media to make the truth come in front of them so that they are able to get this.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, do we need to sit with the child for
Not always.
asking questions?
Not always. Not always. We have to.
No, as soon as they say that I finished studying my lesson, do we need to sit with the child and ask a few questions? Till what age do we need to do this process?
Ma'am, I understand that they need a consistent guidance till primary. In class 6, we should start giving them some kind of freedom to study, and then we should keep on interrupting in between, asking questions, making them realize that they have not perfected yet a particular topic. And and slowly and gradually we should limit our intervention in the subjects where they really need our help, and the rest of the things slowly can be left, and by the time they are in class 7 and 8, I would say, they should be self-dependent.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. One question has been asked here from Chandrakala ma'am, that what about slow learners? Ma'am, the activities that I have given here in the session focused the slow learners and average, because the very intelligent one, they pick up things very fast. We have to give them something more rather than these activities.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for very patient listening. Anything else I can answer? I would be sharing a feedback form with you right away in the group, and I will request you all to kindly fill that feedback form, and honest feedback, please, so that I may work on improving my sessions.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, I want to share something. I don't have any query regarding the reading skills. I want to share what we follow in our school.
Right, ma'am.
Actually, we in the library period, what we have a book review forms for the students, and in that book review forms we have questions, the middle of the book also, from the start also, and from the end also. But because first we have introduced this, what we observe that the students, they read the summary and they used to write everything in that, whatever the questions were asked. So what we have done in the review form, some phrases and sentences and new vocabulary, and they have to write the page number also on which page they have found this phrase.
That's
And they
really
have to find
wonderful activity. You are doing it in online education, ma'am, while we are doing it online or in offline mode?
in online also, but this we have started in the offline classes, but we have continued this in the online also. And now what we are doing, that we are not promoting them for the online books, because I think that is not good to them to actually be on the screen most of the time. So in weekdays, Friday, Saturday, we have given a slot in which they can come to the school and they can take the book from the library.
Yeah,
and this we are following,
ma'am,
for the
offline.
student.
Yeah, offline though, in our school also we were doing really a wonderful activity you have just told. In our school also we were doing book review weeks, like especially English week, we have a book review day where the students, they presented their reviews. And that this is the problem, this has come mainly the problem during online education, when the students, they have actually stopped reading. So we are really looking for these offline classes, because there the influence of the teacher goes to eternity, and they are motivated to read the books. This is what I felt during the online education, online schooling, that reading part has, and a writing part, these two things, they have suffered a little, which really we are looking forward to the offline classes. We have started, but a little. Yes, I have shared.
Ma'am, may I share something?
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Ma'am, may I share?
Please, ma'am.
Ma'am, I am Katyayani from Silver Oaks International School in Hyderabad.
Yes, ma'am.
And at this juncture, I would like to really share the beautiful practices that we do in our school. And we have seen great results, actually.
Right,
and I'm really very confident that it is going to be really useful for all the teachers who are very anxious about student reading.
Yeah, sure.
One thing is we have been successful not only offline, online also. We have actually taken a Google domain. So school has a Google domain. So we have a lot of freedom to create breakout sessions for students. And generally what we do is we give them a reading task in groups. So students actually log in into various meets. They read the content in the way they like, because each group chooses to do it in a different way. Some people read it aloud, and then they have discussions going around it. And most of the reading tasks that we give them, we usually give some very exploratory tasks associated with it. So they may be vocabulary related. They may be, so they're very typically exploratory. So the student who is very curious to know what that particular phrase means, he would definitely go and read that particular portion of it. We give them activities like sequence diagrams. They have to make sequence diagrams after reading a particular text, or they may have to analyze the perspective being shared by the author or anything. So a lot of different open-ended questions are asked, and the students actually come up with great ideas. Sometimes we are also surprised at the perspective that they have looked at. So it's really very interesting. Some people, and the beauty is when we do these activities, when we give these activities to the students, they do it collaboratively. So there may be one student who is doing the first paragraph, he's reading something, and then he comes up with something. And there might be another faster student who is probably reading the third paragraph, and he comes across something else which fits into the task. So it's beautifully done, and we have had great success actually.
That's
just wanted to
wonderful,
share
ma'am.
that.
Katyani, ma'am, that is wonderful. But the problem here is that all the schools may not have access to the media like this. This is happening in our school as well.
This has been happening even offline, ma'am. Actually, even before the pandemic hit us,
yeah,
we have had these collaborative tasks in the classroom, and we have had great success there.
That's wonderful.
Students do various activities. They are like puzzles. Sometimes we do stations in the classroom. We utilize the bulletin boards a lot. We have some extracts here and there pasted onto the bulletin boards. The students go there and try to figure out what is there in one particular extract, and then come back to the team, collaborate. So that makes it a lot more fun.
That's really wonderful, Katyani ma'am. The name, your experiences, the experience that you have shared here must have benefited many teachers. Definitely, this is a platform where we can share our own experiences, and we can really enrich our students by using each other's success story. That was really wonderful. Thank you so much, ma'am. Actually, I have shared a feedback and certificate link in the group of reading skills that you joined earlier. Thank you very much for your kind presence, your patience, and your participation in the webinar. Thanks a lot.